literally minutes after my coverage of Lori being in court in a wheelchair and claiming she's sick and getting a delay, we had this extremely high quality video get released from the court so you can see it for yourself, or at least hear it. I've done a little bit to the audio, hopefully going to make it easier to hear if you're on, say, a mobile phone. If this helps, let me know. Let's listen in. Let's talk about it. Let's get into what happened in this court appearance, because there is a chance she tries something tomorrow. Maybe Lori will show up in a stretcher. Let's see.
All right, this is the time set for continuing jury selection, State of Arizona versus Lori Vallow. CR 2022-001242. Appearances, please.
Attorney Kay, on behalf of the state and for the record, the victim is in the victim room watching.
All right.
So I think I forgot to mention this. Brandon Boudreaux was in court. He was in court, and Lori pulled this.
Ms. Vallow?
No, in the courtroom, sorry.
Lori Vallow for the defense.
All right, are we ready?
Lori Vallow for the defense. Oh, it doesn't sound sick. It sounds like someone who's very bad at acting, pretending to be sick.
Proceed with jury selection?
No.
No.
Why not?
I'm sick, Your Honor. I've been sick all weekend. I let my team know yesterday I was sick.
Can you please pull the microphone a little closer? I can't hear you very well.
I'm sick. I've been sick.
Have you put in tank orders to get treatment?
Yes.
Are you being housed in the infirmary?
Nope. I'm housed where they put people in quarantine anyway. I'm housed alone. They would not move me from where
I wonder if she tried to get moved.
I am.
Have they tested you for any communicable diseases?
No.
They haven't tested her. That was something I saw a lot of people questioning. They haven't tested her. That is wild to me that she pulled something last week, apparently over the weekend, and she's not been tested. And by the way, you might see some blobs in the background. It might surprise you. Those blobs are actually human beings, and some of them are actually reporters finally getting to enter the courtroom.
All right.
You asked me to let my team know. I let them know yesterday at 9 a.m. that I was still
Well,
very ill.
Sometimes we're in positions where we have to proceed when we feel under the weather.
It's not just under the weather. I'm very ill.
Very ill with no tests and no diagnosis. How interesting.
Do you have copies of tank orders you put in for treatment?
Not with me.
And no copies of proof that she's even trying to get treatment.
I put it in on the tablet.
Is the DO able to check whether any tank orders were put in?
I can pull the other judge, but I don't know when she put it in.
What's that?
I think it takes about 24 hours.
They haven't even answered my tank order yet. It takes them a long time.
So now Lori says that her orders that she has no proof of haven't been responded to.
So what symptoms are you having?
I have a terrible headache. I have nausea. I have chills. I have a fever, probably. I haven't been able to keep very much down besides broth and oranges.
This literally sounds like if someone was like, come up with symptoms off the top of your head that are generic illness and just go. It would basically be this for me, right? She even is like a broth, but also oranges, like, because I've known people who, you know, when they're ill, sometimes they'll drink like oranges because there's more liquidy, and like, it's like vitamin C, you know, people do that. It's just, The judge is having one of my pauses where it's like, how do I word this? What do I say here?
Would you be willing to have one of your advisory councils complete the 40-year process, jury selection?
Would that waive my ability to represent myself for the rest of the trial?
No.
Then can I have a moment to discuss with them for a second?
You could hear the judge do the...
Couple things. I'm your trial judge. My instructions are to complete your second trial. So even if for some reason your sickness worsened and we weren't able to complete this trial and had to declare a mistrial to this trial, even if this case got delayed into June or July or August to be reset, I'd still be your trial judge.
So, if you don't remember, when they were doing the scheduling, there was planning to make sure he could be the judge on both cases because he's not going to be doing it much longer. Something like that. It's been a while, okay? But that was in the works, and he is picking up. Lori has failed repeatedly to remove him. This could be her final effort. Well, if he couldn't be my judge after X point, what if I delay past that point? Then I'll get a new judge. So this could all be a plot for her to try to get a new judge. And he's basically saying, I'm not going anywhere. And in fact, what's so funny, and I've seen other people mention this, if Lori had pulled this stunt successfully and delayed this case into a mistrial and hadn't tried to have him removed, there is a chance she would have gotten a new judge. But at this point, it is so transparent that it's a possibility that that's what she's doing, that it's not going to be allowed. You don't want the precedent. You don't want the precedent where you can say, I want a new judge, and they say no, and you say, fine, I'm going to fake illness till I get a new judge. That's a precedent you don't want to let happen.
Additionally, last time we did jury selection on your first trial, as I recall, you asked between probably about 5 and 10 minutes of follow-up questions of the panel before we sat the jury. I only mention that in the context of not a lot of it is expected of you at this point in the trial. Depending on how you're feeling later, we could talk about whether the opening statements would have to be further bumped to tomorrow. But I would like to keep this trial on track.
He's basically saying, Lori, when it comes to the jury, your opinion didn't really do anything. You didn't apply much of anything in the last time, so how about we just do the jury selection?
So if you want a few minutes to talk to your advisory council, we can do that. Is there anything the state wants to put on the record before we do that?
Not at this time, Your Honor.
All right. Do you want to do that back in the tank? All right, be at recess for a few minutes.
All right.
So this is them returning.
All right, we're back on the record. State of Arizona versus Daybell, CR 2022-001242. The state is present. The defendant is present. Ms. Daybell.
I did discuss with my advisory council.
She's trying to sound sicker, in my opinion, right now.
They are not comfortable doing that.
So I watched some other people covering it, and the thought process seems to be her advisory council might be saying, look, she is technically pro se. I don't want to do anything fully without her covering their own ass, right? Makes sense.
I do have a right to represent myself. I'm sorry that I'm sick. I did not plan on getting sick. I did not try to get sick. This isn't anything to do with anything other than the fact that I'm incapable of going forward and doing a good job representing myself.
Lori, you are incapable of that whether you are sick or not. Let's just be clear. We all watched the last trial. We saw the defense you put on for that last trial.
I've been incarcerated for over 5.5 years. I've only ever been sick one other time in the whole time I've been here.
How is the translated being sick? How?
All right.
You know the judge wants to ask. Can't. But you want to know.
Judge, obviously, if the defendant is sick and she does have a right to represent herself, we understand that. The concern is the state does need a date certain when we're starting. I have witnesses that I rescheduled already once to fly in this week, assuming we were starting today. I obviously will need to reschedule them again.
That's something worth remembering. She is screwing over the witnesses. What she wants to, it's a revenge to her. She is screwing over the jury. She is screwing over the judge. She is messing with the scheduling of all court personnel involved, any other cases that have been scheduled around this one to not coincide, possibly causing an entire mistrial. And she's doing it, remember, because she doesn't want to sit here just long enough to finish jury selection where she barely has any input. That is too much for her.
I obviously will need to reschedule them again. I can't keep rescheduling them every single day onto a new flight. So I am not sure how we want to proceed at this time. If we want to give the defendant a couple days, see if this jury is available to extend out to the 25th. I know we had originally talked about that, and begin on Wednesday. I don't know if she will feel better by then.
And you can hear the judge, that's the judge, breathing, because he knows there's nothing they can really do except delay this. They have to. They're going to have to, at least at this point, at this time, because of the lack of testing, because they have to go off the assumption she's telling the truth.
But that's the only suggestion I have at this time, other than starting all over again at
She also gives a sigh, other than starting all over again.
another date.
Is there a reason I couldn't proceed with some of the oral voir dire this morning? Because other than introducing herself, she wouldn't be expected to do anything this morning, and that way we can at least get rid of some of the jurors that, for whatever reason, would need to be excused.
Judge, my concern is she's in a wheelchair now.
Well, I would probably ask to have her sit in a regular seat and not be in a wheelchair that says MCSO across the back of it.
No, I am just not capable of going or even sitting here.
She can't sit. Lori's so ill, she can't sit not just in a chair, she can't sit in a wheelchair.
I need to be laying down.
She needs to be laying down. You thought I was joking about the stretcher. No. She might come in next time with a stretcher.
I need to be getting better so that I can go forward and actually represent myself. I hope that I feel better this week.
Or maybe like they could, was it like Hannibal Lecter? They had like that board where they kept him on with like a solid board behind him. They could do that.
And we can go forward. I can't give you any promises. I can't control any of this.
You know, every bit of this silence is just everyone in this room steaming angry, and Lori's so proud of herself. I think that's clicking. That's definitely some anger tapping. More tapping.
All right, I'll take the state's suggestion and try to salvage this jury in this trial.
And that's important. Salvage. If she can pull off a couple more delays, it might just be a mistrial. And we're back getting a new jury, seating it. They have to send out all the questionnaires again, seating a new jury, getting all this. Is she going to pull it off again? Now, is she going to try that? My answer is, why not? She didn't get a revenge tour as much as she wanted last trial. She didn't question the witnesses or anything like that. She didn't get her witnesses. She's not getting her witnesses this trial. Oh, wait, what if she does a mistrial and tries to get those people she wants to harass and tries again to get them on board? Get them up there on the stand so she can harass them. Have her revenge tour. And the delay is also a punishment to Brandon, who's seeking justice.
I'm sure these jurors are going to be none too happy coming down today again for a dry run.
That's also going to be a problem. People might think, well, we can keep delaying it and keep the same jury. Theoretically. Well, obviously the jury is going to say, no, I have a commitment. I have something I have to do this week, that week, blah, 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 blah. There's going to be reasons they can't do it. But remember, every time this happens, the jury is going to become slightly more tainted with the process. They are going to be an angrier jury. And there could be an argument. I don't know if it would work on appeal, but I'm just as a layperson making the argument that if, let's say, I was on a jury for scheduling, you go in, do everything, and I get delayed for 3 or 4 extra weeks, there's a world where you'd be worried they'd be angry, and that anger could end up being in a verdict that's not the correct one, not the one that it should have been, not the one the evidence supported. Either if they believe it's the state's fault, blaming the state, or if they believe it is the defendant's fault, blaming the victim, it could go either way. That's a real worry, right? It's a real worry. Like, did they get upset because of the delay? And it's safer just to get a new jury. It's easier to get a new jury, and they might have to because people have lives. Lori doesn't, of course. She has nothing but this for the rest of her life.
Judge, I do have one other. I don't know if we're able to, and I understand this is Judge Kemp's courtroom. If we can start earlier for the rest of the week and next week at 10, maybe take an hour for lunch. It's just ways to try to...
Yeah, I would be willing to do that. So for Friday...
I'm not a morning person, and they're starting earlier. Lori has done this delay in a specific way to upset me. Personally, starting trial earlier, delaying things so it's probably going to... I'm either going to have to take a day off of coverage or I'm going to miss a game launch with friends. Like, she is... I feel the frustration that the courtroom feels. That's what I'm going to say. I've got personal frustrations. As a YouTuber, as someone covering her case, her delaying it, making a spectacle of it, at the end of the day, it's more content. It is it's more views, it's more subs, it's more everything, right? It is. And it's so easy to like feel like, yes, that's like a positive for the channel, even though it sucks for everyone else. It's just like, man. like a lot of times when there's something like this happening in a case and you know it sucks, but you're like, for you personally, you're like, I mean, I guess it's content, right? Like when Sarah Boone would cause issues, everyone knows she's terrible. She is terrible. But for the viewers, you know, it became content, right? This is like a meta thing. And for YouTubers, it became content. But now she's personally attacking me. And that is kind of just going on a tangent here instead of continuing. It is a weird fine line you have when covering true crime, because you have to have some levity in it because of what you're covering, no matter what the crime is, right? Like when we talk about, I did a video about Mike Lindell. Mike Lindell has a case starting yesterday on the 1st. Same time as Lori was appearing in court. We're close to that. Anyway, Mike Lindell. People are making fun of him for the case, for the fact his one lawyer went on a live stream, a live broadcast of Zoom court, walked around without pants at one point. They're making fun of his lawyer for an AI submission with cases that didn't exist, and he's looking at possible big repercussions for that. Like, that's kind of comical, right? But you have to remember, the reason he's in court is because he made claims against a man that caused him to feel so threatened he was hiding in a cabin in the woods and fled the country. That is serious. That's terrible. Like, threats on his life, right? And this is an attempted murder. And Sarah Boone was a murder. And I'm just saying this because I sit there periodically and I'm like, where do you draw the line when you're trying to make a joke out of a situation while also covering it? And I feel in a lot of ways that without adding levity to true crime cases, they're so depressing that you simply can't cover them. And in a lot of cases, like with Sarah Boone, it's important more people watch. Because in a case like that, you have a situation where if more people had recognized that maybe Sarah is the problem, it wouldn't have had the same outcome.
So for Friday, I have nothing else, and Judge Kemp has nothing. We could start at 9 on Friday.
And I know we have at least one juror that we will have to excuse who was going camping on Friday.
Juror number 4, I think.
Yeah.
My schedule, we could start at 10 on Wednesday. Let me check Judge Kemp's courtroom schedule.
So at this point, they're talking about starting at 10, starting back up Wednesday, already losing a juror. Just take Fridays off. It makes it easier for me, Judge. If you take Fridays off. Just take Fridays off.
I think he looks like he'll be done by 9:30 at the latest, so I think we'd be safe on telling the jurors to come back 10 a.m. Wednesday, get the jury picked, opening statements done. All right, I think I do need to bring the jurors in to tell them something, so can we have Ms. Daybell sit in a regular chair and not and bring the wheelchair out into the hallway?
Yeah.
So the jury has to know what's going on. Really simple request. Lori, you don't have to sit for the, you don't have to be here. Don't be here any longer. We're going to tell the jury everything's delayed and then we're done. Okay, that's it. Just sit in the chair. See how she handles it.
I don't think that I can even sit here. I need to go lay down. I don't understand. I don't think, last time you said it was going to be 15 minutes, it was an hour and a half where I was sitting here trying not to throw up on TV in front of the jurors.
Which maybe we could, all of us leave and they could come in and just speak with you.
That's fine.
I've had that happen before where none of the parties are here and the court just advises that we're unable to proceed
Your Honor,
today.
I don't know about you rescheduling this for Wednesday. It puts a lot of pressure on me to be better and ready for Wednesday, and if I'm not, I don't like to disappoint people. I don't like putting people out of their way, all the jurors and all these things, and all the pressure is on me. That's not going to help me get any better.
I agree with Lori. I don't think she likes to put people under pressure. I don't think she handles pressure well. I don't think she likes to disappoint people. I mean, obviously, she wanted to get a divorce, didn't want to disappoint people, so she had her husband murdered. Obviously, she didn't want to disappoint her kids with their new husband, so just kill the kids. I mean, if Lori could get her way, maybe she would kill the jury, you know? Just kill them. Maybe she thinks that would be a good solution to this.
Anytime soon.
What is your suggestion?
I don't know, but I'm saying so tomorrow, if I'm not better and I let my team know, are you going to drag me in here like you did today with the team that came to get me? Do you know they felt so sorry for me to have to get dragged out of bed to be here?
Yeah, the answer is yes. I probably will order that you be here Wednesday. We'll take tomorrow off. Because I need to confirm how you're feeling. You because you represent yourself, no one else can waive your own appearance.
You're welcome to come over to the jail and come to my cell and see how I'm doing in there.
All right, I'll take a pass on that.
I'll take a pass on that. Lori wanted him to go to her cell.
All right, with the consent of the parties, then we'll have the parties exit. I'm going to tell the jury we're going to try to get this done on Wednesday. Obviously, that depends on whether the defendant's feeling better or not. We will, I'll tell them to be here ready to go at 10 a.m. Wednesday unless they hear something else. So I'll go ahead and ask the parties to exit.
So my question is, after hearing it for yourself, what do you think? Do you think she's faking it? Do you think she is manipulating? I mean, I think as soon as she got angry about Wednesday and having to come in, I think that eliminated for me any question, right? She's been sick since Friday. And she won't sit in a chair, even for a moment. And you're like, okay, like let's theoretically say she is that sick. She has no idea how she'll feel on Wednesday, and she's already against it. I really just think she wants to get a mistrial. I really just think she wants a mistrial. She wants a new judge, and she's hoping that new judge will let her bring in the witnesses that this judge wouldn't let her bring in, so she can really get her revenge to her, because this is the final time. This is her final moment in the spotlight. Unless, and hey, this is possible, she let something slip and they find out she was involved in another murder. Was this her first rodeo? What about her ex-husband? What about Chad? Was this his first rodeo? What about Alex Cox? Does she know about things he did? Did she conspire with him in the past? Unless that happens, this is her final chance. Her final chance, she even talks about it, being on TV. This is it. This is all she has. After this, she is going to be forgotten about. She is going to be whatever people write about her. She is going to be whatever documentary exists. She's going to be whatever I put in a YouTube video. She doesn't exist as, for a lot of people, She does not exist as a real person ever again the moment she is locked behind bars for good. And she knows that. Any importance she's built upon herself goes away. The next time she would get talked about is the date they execute Chad Daybell. She might get an interview. I'm of the opinion that this is fake. This is an act. This is Lori trying to get her way in the only possible chance she has. And if she's saying she didn't make herself sick, I mean, listen. Is it impossible for a translated being to cause their own illness? I don't know.